Welcome to the All Access Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Joseph Bruen. And this week, somebody we haven't seen in a long time here in the New England scene, none other than Pretty Boy Hernandez. Welcome to the show, man.
What's up, Joe? How you doing, brother?
Very good. It's good to have you here. And it's going to be great to kind of take a deep dive into your career here in New England and pro wrestling.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So, kicking it off all the way at the beginning, I always like to ask, growing up as a child, when did you first discover pro wrestling? Who were some of your favorites growing up as a kid?
It was funny because the really first time I ever watched wrestling, I was on punishment. I bunked school, right? Got caught, and I had a week's worth of punishment. So I couldn't watch TV, couldn't go outside. And my mother just happened to go out. She went to the store or something, if I remember correctly. And I put the TV on, and I happened to see Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, right? And he goes, "Brain, check under the ring, see if there's a stretcher, because that's the way this ham and egg is leaving," right? Right there, I said, "Oh man, I love this. Oh, I love it." Right there. That's when it kicked in for me. I was about 8 years old.
Nice.
Yeah,
so that's
man.
what pulled you in. And once you got a little older, when did you decide that it was maybe something that you wanted to give a shot?
Like ever since then, I've always loved wrestling. I've always wanted to do it. Me and my brother, and he fell out of it, but did it in high school. And and I've always wanted to wrestle ever since.
How did that opportunity come about for you?
It was public access channel, and I seen the NEWA, and I said, "Wow, man, look at this. This is local. I want to check it out." And I called for like months. It had to be like 3 months. Never got in touch with anybody. And I just happened to go to a WWF show at the time. There was still WWF. And I just happened to say, "I'm going to get a beer," I told my wife. She said, "All right." So I was just getting ready to walk out the curtain, go get my beer. And this guy walked in, and I looked at him. I said, "Whoa, Jose." He turned around, Jose Perez. He turned around, he said, "Oh, John." He said, "Well, we started talking." I said, "What have you been doing?" He said, "I'm actually doing this." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I do work for the NEWA." I said, "Come on, I've been trying to get in touch with them for months, man." He said, "Really?" He said, "You're interested?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "All right, remember where my mom lives?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Meet me there at 4:30 tomorrow." Okay. Went, met with him. He introduced me to Rocco D'Alessandro, and it kicked off from there.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, man. Jose, always looking out, that guy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man. Yeah.
Now, Jose, how long did you know Jose prior to that meeting?
Prior to that,
Yeah.
We've known each other since I've known Jose since I had to get working papers. That's 14, 15 years old, so yeah, we go back a ways.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it's funny because I knew Jose, and I was going to Central, and then I met this girl, Claudia. We were friends. We got really cool, me and Claudia, and come to find out, Jose and Claudia, a couple. I said, "Look at this." So yeah, it was weird. Yeah, I've known them both for a long, long time. Him and his wife. Yeah.
It really is a small world.
Yeah. That's my boy. That's my brother there. Yeah.
Awesome. So when that started for you, that opportunity came about thanks to Jose. You finally get your foot in the door for the NEWA. Let's fast forward to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of led up to your debut, your first appearance? What did you have to go through to kind of get in there?
It, like I said, I met with Rock D'Alessandro. He was like, "All right, yeah, we'll give you a try." I said, "All right, cool." And every time I tell this story, it's like Austin talking about the ringmaster. All right, because he said, you be like the heavenly kid. All right, get my foot in the door. Yeah, let's do it. Right. So I did that for about 3 shows. And they were doing a lot of Johnson Wales once a year. They had a thing at Johnson Wales. And that show was coming up, and I wasn't feeling doing the Heavenly Kid at Johnson and Wales. They always got a big crowd there. It was nice, So Jose helped me a lot. He really did. He was like, yo, I see you being like a street type, like Pretty Boy, and this was a couple of weeks before Johnson and Wales, about a month. And we still wasn't getting it down, and I happened to go to the office, and Bad Boy Billy Black was there, and Aunt Rufo. So Aunt said, we were talking about it. We're trying to figure something out. And Aunt goes, you always walk around here like a pretty boy. And that was like the second time in a couple of days somebody said that, So I said, I like that, I like that. And I said, John Pretty Boy. And I was a big fan of Power and Glory. I liked Paul Roma, and I loved Hercules Fernandez. I thought he looked great, and he's just a powerhouse. And I said, I'm going to go with Pretty Boy Hernandez. At first, I was going to say John Pretty Boy Hernandez, but I said, nah, just drop the John. We'll go with Pretty Boy Hernandez. And that's where Pretty Boy was born, right there.
And that was one of my next questions. Bringing up Anthony Rufo, what are your personal memories of Anthony Rufo? Is there a story or anything you could share, or an occasion that you spent with him?
We spent a lot of time together. We, outside the ring, we'd all get together, hang out, have a good time. Ant was a cool dude, man. He really was. He helped me, like I said that day, when he said, you walk around here like a pretty boy, and that was the second time in a couple of days. Like I said, I heard that, I was like, yeah, he just put the key in the slot for me right there. That just settled it. But, yeah, we had a lot of good times with Ant. He's missed. He really is. Yeah.
Anthony was very influential, and he gave a lot of people a lot of opportunities. How important do you think Anthony Rufo is to New England wrestling history?
Oh, very important. Very important. I'd put him up there like I'd put Reverend Redemption out for Massachusetts. You know what I mean? Them two guys, they did a lot. They did a lot to help the guys coming up. They did a lot for the promotions they worked for. They really did. Yeah. What a guy, man. He really was. We had a lot of fun with Ant.
Any interactions with Ant in the NEWA in ring? Any matches or anything?
Yeah. Yeah, we did work a match, me and him. It was for the NEWA Heavyweight Championship. At the time, we were both managed by Chain Link, another awesome guy. Deeply missed. And yeah, I went for the title. He won. He went over. But yeah, we had a nice match that night. And I remember coming back into the locker room, and the first person that was standing there, and he's Rick Fuller. He was on the card that night. And hey, nice match, Pretty Boy. And that was pretty cool. He was doing some stuff with WCW. So yeah, me and Ant had a nice match that night. We really did.
And at that time, was Anthony Marvin the Maniac, or was he Dambula?
Marvin the Maniac.
Marvin.
Yep. It was weird because when I did the Pretty Boy thing, and after Johnson and Wales, Rock came to me and said, hey, why don't we put you with Chain Link? And I said, all right, yeah. So if they're going to do this, put me with Chain Link, they're going to keep me around, I'm guessing, So I said, yeah, that's cool. And at the same time, Draven ended up getting a bad knee injury. They had the 3 Faces of Death going on, So... Yeah. And they were working that. So after that, they put me in that with them guys for a little while. And yeah, that was the big thing that night with the match between me and Ant. Chain was conflicted where he should be. Should he be with the new blood he just got in his stable, or should he be with his champion? And it was cool. It went over real good. It went over nice.
And for the fans who don't know who Chain Link is, Chain Link, also known as the Reverend. Of course, he was also the Reverend Chain Brannigan at one point. Yeah. Dave Jackson, his real name. Unfortunately, we lost him too soon. Any other personal memories over the years with Dave at all?
Oh yeah, we used to go to his house and just have a blast, man. And we all get together. Dave was an awesome guy. He also pulled some strings for me to get me some work at Rhode Island Hospital when I was down and out, with security. Dave was always there for guys, and yeah, he was a really good guy.
Let's go back to that initial meeting with Rocco D'Alessandro. What was Rocco like in your interactions with him throughout the time that you were there in the NEWA, but specifically that very first meeting? What was that like?
Rock's a character. Yeah, Rock was, he'd go with anything. He'd go with anything and forget everything. That was the thing with Rock, man. And Yeah, but he was smooth about it all. He went with a lot of things. We put up, a lot of ideas, and he'd be like, yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that. So it was easy to work with Rock.
Any memories with his son, Rock Joseph, or the other ring announcer, Bob the Padre Cleese?
Bob Cleese, really nice guy. We didn't interact too much. I interacted more with Rock Joe. I still see Rock Joe to this day every so often, and yeah, and Rock, he was a cool dude too. Yeah.
And one of the mainstay commentators at that time was Rex Havoc. Any memories of Rex?
Rex, I just got there. I think Rex was there like, I don't know, a couple of months after I got there, but I really didn't have too much interaction with Rex.
Yeah.
But he was a nice guy.
And of course, you'd go on to Yankee Pro Wrestling,
Mhm.
YPW. They'd often run, like you said, in Massachusetts. And Derek Now, who was Reverend Redemption, was a big part of that promotion for a long time, and one of the true monsters of the ring out that way. So,
Yeah.
Derek Now was a kind of a teddy bear behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And another influencer. People really looked up to him. He was one that was always looking to help out others for sure. And another individual that we just lost too soon. What are some of your personal memories of Reverend Redemption?
You know, we'd go out after a lot of shows, go get something to eat, something to drink. And most of the times my kids were there. So, they'd be messing with my kids all the time. My kids be trying to give them low blows and all this stuff, but the kids aren't holding back, they don't know any better. And yeah, anytime my kids would walk by them, they cupping up. They're cupping up because my kids, they just give shots out of the blue, man. And yeah, they're always nice to my family. They love my wife, my kids. So yeah, man. Yeah, and them Massachusetts guys, they took us Rhode Island guys in, man. They really did. Brick House Baker, guys like that,
And Yankee Pro Wrestling, once you're there, you're obviously at one point a team with Jose Perez, East Coast
Mhm.
Intensity. You guys are known as the Los Banditos at that time.
Mhm.
Now, for Yankee Pro, what were some of the differences, I guess the pros and cons, in your opinion, in comparison to NEWA? Because NEWA was all you knew at that point.
Mhm.
Once you get into Yankee, it's a whole new world for you. What are your thoughts on that promotion and how everything went for you?
The differences I think would be between the two is that the NEWA, they did have the public access, so that really did help them out a lot. But with Yankee, it was a lot of telemarketing shows, so they drew big crowds, man. So they got people all around Massachusetts to come to their shows, and it was really nice, man. I mean, but yeah, it was a little different, but not. You know what I mean? Sizes of the crowds were different than they were in the NAWA, but we still worked it. You know what I mean? We could have 6 people in the crowd and we're still working our asses off, man. But when you get to a place like Yankee and you got them kind of crowds and stuff, man, it's electrifying. It really is.
And you mentioned Brickhouse Baker. He was one of the pillars, one of the cornerstones of Yankee Pro Wrestling and New England wrestling in general. But when you get into that, locker room, it's a group of new guys that you're not familiar with. Brickhouse is, probably trying to hold his own. I mean, it's his establishment.
Right.
So what was he like, first getting in there? Did you guys get along right away? And kind of tell us about your relationship throughout that time.
With Brickhouse, like a lot of them, it was real easy, man. They were easygoing guys. When I got brought into Yankee, he was a big part of it. Him and Jose was working some angle, and yeah, it went over beautifully. And Brickhouse was a big deal of it. And like they had it all set up to where, I'd be drawing with Brickhouse, and he'd give a shove, and I had to think of popcorn, and it went over the lady next to me, and I took the little bump into her lap. And yeah, it went over beautifully. And Brickhouse, man, that guy, to this day, because I used to wear Doc Martens in the ring, and to this day, he say, "Hey, man, I still got scuffs from your Doc on my head." So we had a lot of fun. He was awesome dude to work with.
One of my favorite venues when it comes to independent wrestling was always the PAL Hall in Fall River, Massachusetts. It was a small place. It was hot as hell in the summertime,
Yeah.
but it was a special place. It had a special feeling. it really had that old school wrestling feel. And it
Yes.
was just perfect for a show. And you'd have guys like Jose Perez or somebody in a hardcore match jumping off the balcony. And,
Mhm.
and no matter where you sat in the place, you felt like you were part of the show, I'm sure, for the
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
So, what are your personal memories of PAO Hall? Anything come to mind or?
Yeah, walking in there, like you said, old style school, old school stuff. You smell the popcorn, you're seeing and hearing the people, man, and it just, I don't know, it just lights a fire under your ass to get out there and give these people the best, and that's where the Los Bandidos was born. That's the PAL, that's where we came out. We did our thing. Reverend Redemption was part of it for a little while. We had like a clique of 9 guys, man, and it was cool. I loved working the PAL. It was a nice venue.
And Yankee Pro Wrestling, you'd also go on to wrestle Big Tim Towers.
Yes.
An individual that was also at that time a big part of Yankee Pro.
Yeah.
Any memories of working with Tim?
Yeah, we danced a lot, me and Tim. I think we worked. We were married for a little while, and yeah, we did a match out in New Bedford, and the ropes, I guess, were really loose, and it was supposed to be a clothesline over the top for me. I'm taking it, he's giving it, and the ropes were so loose at that time. I was like 220. He was up there in weight. He's a big guy, and them ropes just they sank so quick. And when they did, we both went over. My head landed on the apron. His body came down on top of me. And Dave Padula was supposed to hit me with a chair shot. He said, when you got up, your eyes were glazed. He said, I pushed you and you fell.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank God that was going to be the finish anyway, So with him hit me with the chair, but he said, I couldn't hit you. If I hit you, I probably would have killed you. Yeah. So that was, me and Tim, but, it was nothing, malicious on anybody's behalf, it was just something that happened.
And that's the risk that you take in the ring, I guess,
right?
Right?
Exactly. We're not making muffins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But me and Tim, we had a few good matches. Yeah, I liked working with Tim. He was athletic for a big guy, man. He could do the split leg moonsaults off the ropes, and he was incredible.
And another individual that you were in the ring with early on for Yankee Pro Wrestling was the Highlight Kid.
Yes.
And he started off real young, getting into the business like you did.
Yes.
What are your memories of Highlight Kid and working with him?
Yeah, Kid Cash, Davey. He was awesome to work with too, because he could do all the high flying stuff, man. And that sells. People love that, all that luchador stuff and stuff I can't do. So the people love that stuff. And working with him was real easy. Like he'd go with anything too. You know what I mean? He'd go with anything. I was a little bigger than him, so it was like the power trip on him. But he'd do his high flying, man. And yeah, the kid got over.
And another individual from Yankee Pro Wrestling, I'm not sure if you guys ever locked it up, but you may have down the road, Suicidal Silva. Any memories of him?
No, I think him and Jose had some stuff going on, and we just, probably put the boots to him a lot.
Yeah.
As the independents, but yeah, I don't think we worked. I don't think I ever worked with him.
And another tag team match that comes to mind, Yankee Pro Wrestling, you would team up with the Punisher, Don Vega, and you guys would go one-on-one with the Power Company twins, Dave and Dean. What was it like working with the Power Company? I always heard that behind the scenes, they were kind of like a macho man as far as they needed to know every single spot in that match. Was that true?
Yeah, they wanted to go over every little bit of the match. I mean, some guys are like that. It works for them, and it might not work for other people. But I went with it, man. They were cool dudes to work with. We went back and forth with the Yankee tag team titles a couple of times between us and them, me and Pun and Dave and Dean. Yeah, they were easy to work with. I liked working with them guys. You work with them. The guys are real professional. You work with them, and they like the way you work, and they'll keep working with you, man. They'll tell the promoter, yeah, I work with this guy any day, and they said that about us a lot. So.
Yeah, they were a great team. They definitely had the look, and they did some work with WCW like Rick Fuller did.
Right.
And they did some training in the power plant in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a lot of experience under their belt for sure. And, I always thought that they just put on a great show. They did the whole heel gimmick so well when they were heel, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
playing off the crowd and people
Yeah,
with
hugging each
music.
other and
Yeah.
stuff. I used to love when David Dean would step on the back of one of us and hug their brother. You know what I mean? That was awesome, and the crowd hated that shit.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Good memories right there. Now, the PAL Hall, Fall River, we talked about that. What are some of your personal favorite venues, if you have any, throughout your career?
I like the the New Bedford spot they had. We did a lot of spots out in, was it Braintree, I think, out that way. But the PAL, I love that place. I love working in that place.
And another promotion you'd go on to is PCW 2000. It would be Primal Conflict Wrestling, of course, headed by Donnie DeLuca Jr.,
Yes,
formerly known as Studley Steve Stallion of NEWA.
yes.
You'd go on there to work Mark Thunder in 2000. Memories of working with Mark?
He'd go. He was young. He was hungry, so he would go in anything. He was moldable. You can mold him. You could really mold him. He was nice to work with. He was young, and when you're trying to help a kid out, like we did with that kid, and it works out, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did the job for him. I was the champ there, and I put him over. He got the title. He had a nice little title reign. It was nice to help him out. Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like in Primal Conflict as opposed to Yankee Pro Wrestling and NEWA? Was it kind of a lot of the same guys for you to mingle with, or was it a whole new audience for you?
Yeah, there was pretty much the whole same thing, because we had some guys from the NEWA doing that. We had some guys from Yankee doing that. So it worked out nice. And then they were bringing in like Sandman, New Jack, Balls. We had Balls. Tommy came in once, and that was cool. So yeah, they were doing their thing.
Yeah, I remember that night for Primal. It was the AmeriCal Civic Center, Wakefield, Massachusetts. I was the ring announcer,
Yes.
and it was Jose Perez and Tommy Dreamer one-on-one. And I remember the chair shot with Balls Mahoney and I think Scarecrow. That was a rough one.
That was yeah. That was a tight one. He signed a chair. Somebody got it. That was great, man.
Yeah.
That was a good show. I think I worked Dragonfly that night. It was me and Dragon, and that was a nice show. Yeah, we had a good night.
Yeah, great crowd. I think there were probably 400 or 500 people there. It was a pretty
big
big
and
show.
That was the night me and Jack really started hitting it off. It was cool. Yeah.
Any other memories that you can remember from Primal Conflict, your time there?
I remember someone getting set on fire. Who's that?
That was Jamie Payne.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was wild. Took a little while to get him out, but yeah, just the crowd alone, they were great, man. They were diehard fans.
Yeah.
I think we had a snowstorm one night. Fans showed up.
Yeah.
We had like a foot of snow. People out there ready to party, ready to watch some wrestling.
Yeah.
And that was great. That was awesome.
I remember Jose told that story. They showed up with shovels and everything. And
yeah, can you believe it? They drew their crowds, man. Donnie, he did a good job with Primal, man. Yeah. I was good to be a part of it. I was honored and excited.
Yeah, and it was at that time where hardcore wrestling is what the fans wanted,
right?
And ECW was real big at that time, so it had certainly taken off. Yeah,
that was around the time when they were holding their own against WCW and WWE, man. So yeah, everybody loved that stuff.
Yep, the big three, as they referred to it as.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Now, what advice do you have for somebody who's looking to get into the business now?
Do your homework. Do your homework. And just try to listen to the guys that are there, the guys that have been there, the guys that have been doing it for a while. You know what I mean? And it'll get you through. It did for me. I took a lot of advice from like I said, guys like Jose, Aunt Rufo, Brickhouse Baker, Derek and Brother Redemption, man. Them guys, Chain Link, them guys really helped me out, man. And I owe a lot to them guys. Some of them, aren't here, unfortunately. Uh, Savano Souza, that guy. You talk to him, he knew his stuff, man. He'd help you out, stuff like that, man. You listen, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. You talked about Rocco D'Alessandro, what it was like to work for him. We talked a little bit about Studley Steve Stallion. How about Joe Eugenio and Silvana Souza? What was that like there in Yankee at that time?
Yeah, Joe, really nice. You got to get to know Joe. Really nice guy, though. You know what I mean? He seems a little rough around the edges if you're just looking at him, but you get to know him, you talk to him. Nice guy. And Silvano Souza, like I said, man, he looked out for all of us too. All of us Rhode Island guys, man. So yeah, really nice guy. Another loss, Silvano Souza. And yeah, he really looked out for us.
It's funny, Joe Eugenio actually works at a feast that they do maybe 8 houses away from my house where I live here. And I was at the feast last year and I see Joe sitting there and I'm like, it kind of threw me off. I'm like, that can't be Joe Eugenio. It wouldn't make any sense. It just, I couldn't place it. He's out of place and I'm not, in Massachusetts. I've never seen him in the Rhode Island area. I'm like, it must just look like him.
Right.
And as the night went by, I'm like, that's got to be Joe. And I went up to him. I asked, "Are you Joe Eugenio?" Yeah. What's going on? So I'd like to get Joe on this show, and I think he would be a good brain to pick because, he was a part of New England history. Obviously with New England wrestling and then Yankee Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He did it for a long time, and he did it on a large scale for a while.
Yes, he did, man. Them guys, like I said, they drew houses, man. Working for them was a great. I remember we did a show one night. It was me and the Highlight Kid. We worked a match in Bostonville, I think. Anyway, when I walked out, man, and I seen all these people, oh man, I was like, wow, yeah, this is nice.
It always feels nice when you walk out there and there's a packed house,
It always does, man. It just lights a fire under you, man. You get so into it. And then I get done. I go talk to my wife. I said, hey, how did it look? Because I forgot. I can't remember nothing. She's like, oh, look good. So yeah, and then you gotta go back and watch some tapes, man. You're like, oh, all right, yeah, because you're out there and you're into it, and you're just like, like for me, I don't know if I'm like just not taking it in at that time, but yeah, it was awesome to do.
The best part about wrestling in general is, everybody kind of gives it their all, no matter if there's 500 people, 1,000 people,
right.
10 people,
right.
And that's what's important about it. And I remember ring announcing a show at the End Zone. I think that was in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And there were 1 or 2 people in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And I think it was due to weather, but there were 2 people. And it didn't matter. The locker room, pulled it together and put on a really fun show. And that was for 2 people. You know what I mean? So,
you got to work like you're working for 200.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done shows, man, where our spouses, our kids were the only people in the audience. You know what I mean? And we just give them a show.
Right.
And
it's all about that repetition too. You're still getting that practice in and
of course.
So
definitely. Yeah.
So I used to do the spot shows, as you know. HWF was the Hardcore Wrestling Federation, eventually the Heatwave Wrestling Federation, and I would do maybe 3-4 shows a year from '99 until about 2001. And you were on 2 of those shows. You wrestled Old School Derek Destiny in one of them, and you also wrestled Scarecrow in another one. Any personal memories of either of those 2 individuals over the years?
Scarecrow was a pleasure to work with. I really liked working with him. I mean, we did it. I might have had 2 matches with him, but yeah, he was in Derek Destiny. I think he was just starting out at that time. Correct?
Probably around that time. Yeah.
And he was easy to work with. I mean, he wasn't too knowledgeable about it, but working with Scarecrow, that was a pleasure. I really liked working with him.
Yeah. I remember when you worked with Scarecrow at my show. I was trying something different because I think at that point you guys hadn't worked together yet.
Yeah, no.
And just completely different styles. It was like, I don't know how this match is going to be, but I feel like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
And you guys tore the roof down. I remember the crowd was really into it.
Yeah, it was a really good match. I liked working it. Yeah, the crowd were into it, man. They didn't like me, but Not many places they did, but yeah, it was a good match. Really good.
If you had to pick three, if you could remember three of your favorite of all time, three matches that you were in, what would those be over the course of your career?
It would have to be. I always loved working Jose. You know, and we have worked in the past. Brickhouse Baker, definitely. You know, I always loved working with Brick. And Reverend Redemption. I like working with Derek too. Yeah.
Let's talk about the faction known as the Independents. Yourself, Kevin Charisma, the Punisher Don Vega, East Coast Intensity Jose Perez. When you get all those personalities together, obviously it's going to be it's going to be magic, and it's going to be bad news, I think, for the other side, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What are your memories of that gimmick, and how did that come together? Kind of getting that faction together. Kind of talk us through that.
See, me and Jose, we've been together, like I said, with Yankee and doing our thing ever since my debut there. And I was trying for a while to get Pun to come up here, and I finally got him to come up. And when he did, he still didn't want to talk to Joe Eugenio. I said, "Come on, man, I'm not going to talk for you, man. You got to go talk to this guy. If you don't talk, we're not leaving. We'll sit here all night, bro." So he finally got out the car and he went over there. He talked to Joe, and Joe said, "Yeah, come up. We'll see what we can do." And yeah, that worked out nice. And Kevin Charisma was already with us. We were doing some stuff with him already. So we just came up with a whole new angle. We shot it to Joe, and he was like, "Yeah, let's roll with it."
Nice. I didn't realize you were so influential in getting Don Vega there to Yankees. So that's interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah. I'm glad he made the jump, man, because I kept telling him, "You got to come up here. You got to come check this place out. You come check it out. You'll love it."
And was he still in the NEWA at that time?
Yeah, he was doing that, and I think he might have been doing some UCW.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I think he was doing some stuff there, but yeah, we got him. I got him to come up, man, and yeah, that was the best leap he made, I think.
When it comes to training, where did you get some of your training? Did you kind of train along the way as you're going throughout your career, or what did you do to kind of stay on top of things, as your career unfolded?
It was nice because even with the NEWA, Rock had a place out in Johnston. He had a ring set up, nice little training place. Guys can get out there, go do practice. Get their ring on, get their bump on. And the same thing with Yankee. Yankee always had a place where you can go train. So that always works out. When you have something like that, you're not just putting on shows with the guys ain't got nowhere to train, but on their mattresses at home. Put their mattress on the floor, take bumps, but. Stuff like that works out when you do have a place where you can go train, perfect your skill, especially, if you're doing some tag stuff or we're doing stuff like the independents, that works out nice for us.
Yeah. Any funny stories or road stories that come to mind when you think about your career, all the places you've wrestled, anything come to mind?
Yeah, we did this show in Halton, Maine, and Jose almost got me arrested, We were going up there. It's me and him. We're driving on me, him, my wife, his wife. And Jose, he's in the backseat acting up anyway. And then he leans over. He says, "Oh, John." I said, "What?" He said, this car does 160. And both of them at the same time, my wife, his wife, don't do it. And before do it came out their mouth, we're probably about at 120. Yeah. So we're going up this hill, man. As soon as I get up to the top of the hill, I happen to look to my right and I see this state trooper down the road. He got this car pulled over, and I got it down from 120 to like 87 in no time. But he still got out of his car and walked into the middle of the highway and he's doing this. Oh boy, here we go. All right. So he comes up and he's, does his spiel. And "I got you going 86 miles an hour." I said, "Yeah, well, about 2 seconds ago, you would have got me doing 120. So I'm glad with the 86. Thank you." You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, guy, stuff like that with Jose. But yeah, we got out to Maine, and that's when the shenanigans really kicked in. We had a little leprechaun running around with the lampshade on his head, him and Derek using them as hats, you know what I mean? Knocking on people's doors. Yeah. We had good times, real good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your favorite era of pro wrestling, chiming in your inner fan, were you a bigger fan of the 80s, the 90s, the Attitude Era, or even present day?
I like a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, but the Attitude Era, man, that was a good era in wrestling, man. That sparked off a lot of stuff everywhere and a lot of promotions, man. So, yeah, you had the Monday Night Wars and all that stuff, man. You can't beat that's wrestling history. You look back on that stuff and you're like, wow, amazing.
The
You
nice
know,
thing about the Attitude Era is they had something for everybody. I feel like the writing team, which I guess was Vince Russo at the time,
yeah,
I mean, you had all the big names obviously had their storylines, but you had Al Snow, Steve Blackman, Val Venus. Everybody had something going on. Where you
yeah,
fast forward to nowadays, there's a lot of great wrestling now,
mhm.
but there's also a lot of guys sitting backstage not wrestling for a month.
Right, yeah. Like you said, man, they had a lot of great things going on back then. Like one of my all-time favorite, always will be, is Eddie Guerrero. I always loved to watch Eddie and the stuff they did with him. I enjoyed, man. They really did a good job with Eddie.
Yeah, definitely. He was so talented, not just in the ring, but character wise. I mean, he could really entertain the fan.
Yeah, man. The stuff with the ref with hitting the chair and then taking a bump like he just got whacked with a stuff like that, man. That cracks you up, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was awesome to watch.
So a dream match. If you could put together a dream match, yourself against somebody from any era, whether it was before your time, during your time, independence, television, doesn't matter. Somebody from present day. Who would that one opponent be that you think you'd have a killer match with?
I don't know if it'd be a killer match, but I would have loved to work Scott Hall when Scott Hall was great. You know what I mean? Scott Hall, he's one of my all-time favorites. I've always loved Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to pro wrestling, Mount Rushmore, there's different ways of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is your personal Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling? Who were the top 4 of all time?
Top 4 of all time. Like I said, Eddie would have to be in there definitely because I'm a big Eddie Guerrero fan. Scott Hall. You always got to put Flair in there, man. You know what I mean? Flair always got to be there. And Cena, I'll throw Cena up there. Cena, not as far as ring ability, but just because of what Cena done for the business, in the ring, out of the ring, made more make-a-wishes than anybody. You know what I mean? Stuff like that sticks with me, always looking out for kids, doing right for kids. You know what I mean? I'd have to throw Cena up there just because of that.
Any memories of the late Mr. Biggs, Michael James?
Yeah, we really didn't interact too much, but he was a nice guy. Nice guy, met him when he was out in the Yankee, did a lot of the audio, helped out with audio, and ring music and stuff. Yeah, he was a good guy.
Let's talk about your gimmick a little bit more. So Pretty Boy Hernandez, you mentioned how you got the name, but as far as the gimmick itself and what you kind of crafted it into, kind of tell us, what you had in mind, how it panned out for you as far as, did it go exactly how you wanted it? And, talk about the entrance music you selected. Talk about your ring gear, where you purchased your gear from. Let's hear all about the character.
Well, the gear, as far as the gear, I went with some stretch jeans, some Doc Martens, and I threw the singlet under there. And we always used to go to this guy named Jerry. He did beautiful airbrushing. You know what I mean? So we always used to go to him, get our stuff airbrushed. Jose put me on to him. He had this place out at the Warwick Mall. The guy had phenomenal stuff, man. That's where Chain used to get all his vests done. He had some beautiful vests. He had vests, Three Faces of Death, Jose, Marvin, and Vinny. And he had the Pretty Boy vests, and they were beautiful. And I'm sorry, the rest of your question? I'm sorry, I got so into the...
that's all right. Just the gimmick itself. Who was Pretty Boy Hernandez? And then on the other side of that, the entrance music that you selected over the years.
Yeah, Pretty Boy was a cat from L.A., He just liked hurting people, and that's where the California love came in. You know, you got some Tupac, you got some Dr. Dre, you know, and yeah, we just mixed it all together, and that's where Pretty Boy came from, you know.
Yeah.
South Central, Los Angeles, man. This
Yeah.
cat out the streets that didn't take any crap from anybody, and you know, you didn't want to mess with.
And was there somebody on the independent scene that you always wanted to work with, but for whatever reason, it just schedules never came together and you never got that chance?
On the independent scene, yeah, you know, I did work with a lot of good guys, like I said, man. Any places I've been, and no, that's it, man.
Yeah. And all the places you've worked, all the promotions you've been a part of, was there a favorite? Was there a favorite promotion to work for?
Yankee, I really like Yankee. Yeah, Primal was cool. NEWA, that's where I got in my start. You always loved that place, but I enjoyed working with Yankee.
What would you say is the most challenging part of being a part of the pro wrestling industry?
Dealing with the aches and pains, I think, you know, stuff like that, man. Because I love the business. I really didn't have any bad times in the business. You know, everybody I met was awesome. The only guy I really didn't care for when I met him was what's his name? The Ken Shamrock. Really didn't care for him. He had a chip on his shoulder. I've heard throughout the years he changed, but you know, I remember one time he was coming to the locker room. I said, "Hey, what's up, Ken?" He goes, yeah. And I was happening to talking to Tank Abbott and Dan Severance, and they were like, guys like that, don't even bother. You know what I mean? Maybe he had some personal issues going on. I don't know, but
Dan Severn was a nice guy.
yeah, Dan Severance was an awesome guy. You know, he always took time to talk to the guys, man. Whenever I seen him, I talked to him. Nice guy, just like Bundy. Bundy was cool.
2002, I lived in Michigan for about a year, and Dan Severn invited my wife and I to his home. He gave us a full tour. He was in Clearwater at the time, and he gave us a full tour of his facility there. You know, he had a big facility. I think it bedded 32 students or something like that.
Oh.
And then he showed me the other rooms with the memorabilia. He had a gym, he had the ring, the workout room. He had all kinds of stuff going on there at that time.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it really is a nice guy, man. Nice to talk to.
Yeah. Now I'm going to throw a couple names at you. Going to kind of spitfire some names at you. First memory that comes to mind, or personal moment, or whatever. And you may not have for some people, but going to throw it at you. Thrash, NEWA.
Thrash, yeah, man. Cool cat. Always get along with Thrash. Scott, yeah, Scott's a good guy.
Bad Boy Billy Black.
Wild guy, but cool.
The Danger Boy, Alfredo.
Really nice guy. Really nice. You know, I never seen him or heard him say a bad thing about anybody. Really nice guy.
The Dream Lord.
Not too familiar.
Yeah. Well, he was also Draven.
Oh, did he go by Dream Lord?
Yeah, he was Dream Lord.
He was doing the Draven thing. I never heard that.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, he was Dream Lord early on. This was probably 95 or earlier.
Really? Yeah, I got to the NEWA about 96, the end of 96. So he was only doing the Draven thing at that time. Yeah, I never heard the Dream Lord thing before.
Gotcha. Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow, yeah. You always learn something new, huh?
Yeah. Gorgeous Gino Giovanni.
My buddy, me and Gino we got along really well. We got along really well, me and Gino.
And of course, NEWA, had some of the bigger characters that weren't there long, but you hear the names. Some people hadn't even been there long enough to be seen, really. You'd have maybe a match or two, but any of those names that came through, Judge Grable or, Bulldozer. I don't know if
Bulldozer, yeah. Bulldozer, I remember Bulldozer. He was there. When I first got there, he wasn't there long.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Party Man, Juan King.
Not familiar. No, it doesn't ring a bell.
And then you also had the Headhunters, 1 and 2.
Yes. Yeah, good guys. Yeah.
Yeah, some of those individuals, you just, they'd come, they'd go, and that's how it is with pro wrestling,
Yeah, it
obviously.
is. Yep. Some guys stick around, some guys don't, man. But yeah, the headhunters. I remember them guys. Sure.
My debut for UCW, backstage, there was this guy, Barbie Behemoth. I don't know if you have any memory of him.
Oh no.
And I was like, man, what am I getting myself into? And Barbie Behemoth, I'm introduced to him. I think he had an eye patch on. He was probably, I'm about, I'm 6'1" and change. He was probably, I don't know, maybe 6'3", 6'4". He was probably at that time maybe 450 pounds.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
And he had a huge flower dress on. That was his attire. And I was like, wow, this guy's wild. Look at this guy. He had a beard. And Barbie Behemoth, one other guy that just showed up. And then I don't think I ever saw him again. You never know with some of these guys,
Yeah, right. Wow.
How about Wolverine?
Wolverine. That's we did a few things together, me and I think I won the Rhode Island State title off of Wolverine. Good guy, another nice guy. Yeah, him and Alfredo, man.
Yep.
They joined at the hip.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about the Heartthrob, Dana Kama?
Not too familiar. No.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember anyway.
Yeah, he was probably later NEWA, so maybe at that point you had already kind of moved on.
Yeah, I think I'd probably been a Yankee, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Yankee.
The Wild Thing, Johnny Justice.
Johnny Justice, nice guy, man. Always nice to everybody. Can't say nothing bad about him.
Yep. Of course, he went on to Primal Conflict as YMC Andy.
Yes, he did. Wow.
Sandy Starr, another one.
Who's that?
Sandy Starr.
Sandy Starr, yes. Did a lot of stuff with Sandy Starr. Beautiful woman, man. She got a heart of gold.
Yeah. The Vertebraker.
Young kid. Yeah, talented, man. Talented kid.
Matt and Kyle, the Storm Brothers.
Matt and Kyle, another two dudes, man. Kyle did a little. He was with the Independents for a short time, but yeah, always got along with Matt and Kyle, and good guys.
The Talent, TJ Richter.
TJ Richter, another high flyer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good kid.
Dr. Heresy and Don Juan DeSanto.
Wow, I heard these names for so long, man. Oh my God. Wow, yeah, good guys. Yeah, did a couple of things with them. Didn't really work with them too much.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, they were known as Mind and Matter. That was the team name.
Yes.
Brutal Bob Evans.
Never. I think I did like a spot with him. Never really worked with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about Lucian Bagwell?
Yes, me and Jose and him and Andy Jax, man. We were chained together for a while, and another good guy that isn't with us anymore, man.
Yeah, it's crazy that we lost him.
Yeah, that was sad to hear. Really sad, man. It was just like, wow.
Such a nice guy. He was one of the guys that, we didn't know each other too well when we were in wrestling at the time, but we kind of, after the fact, would talk here and there, and he always kept in touch and always reached out during holidays and stuff. So he was a really nice guy, genuinely.
Yeah, that was sad to hear, man, because we did a lot of shows together. We worked together a lot, man. And when I found out, I was like, wow, because I talked to him like we were friends on Facebook. I haven't seen him in years, but we conversate back and forth on Facebook, man. I was just a shock.
Yeah. How about Iron Fist from Yankee Pro Wrestling?
Yes. I think we went and worked a couple of times. But like I said, he did a lot of stuff with Jose, I think, more than I worked with him.
Yeah. And one of the big men in Yankee Pro, Big Daddy Kahuna.
Big Daddy Kahuna. Yeah, I did a few matches with Kahuna. We had a lot of fun. He was easy to work with. For being such a big guy, man. Him and Derek, man, it was so easy to work with. You'd have a lot of fun with them guys working.
How about Mr. Foster? The what was he? The Thunder from Down Under.
The Thunder from Down Under. Yeah, we worked a lot together too. Really nice guy. I went to a show a couple years ago and I ran into him. It was good to see him.
And another individual from that era, Mike Steele.
Yep. I think I worked with him twice. But yeah, easy to work with. Another nice guy. Yeah, like I said, I can't really say anything bad about anybody I ever worked with, man. They were all so cool. Especially the Massachusetts guys. Us Roller 9 guys, but getting with them guys, they were really great group of guys, man, really.
Any interactions or memories of Kevin Landry? He wrestled as Kevin Kelly for a while in Yankee Pro.
Kevin Kelly, yeah. I don't think I ever worked with him. I mean, we did a lot of same shows, but yeah. He stayed close to them guys like Mike Steele and all them guys. They clicked up a lot, We had our thing going on with us guys from Rhode Island and hanging out with Derek and Brickhouse and them guys, because we'd always have our thing going with like I said, Lucian Bagwell and Andy Jacks, Tex McCoy and Brickhouse Baker tagging up and us guys doing our independent things. We always had so we always interacted a lot. And them guys that, Sweet Scott Ashworth and them guys, they'd be working each other. So, we'd always be cool and, friendly to each other. But it was just like really in the locker room, groups of guys always work together a lot.
And you said you keep basically tabs on today's pro wrestling on television?
Yeah.
What are you a fan of? AEW? Are you a WWE guy?
I watch it all, man. I like AEW. I like the things they got going on over there. Finn Balor, I love watching Finn Balor work, man. And so stuff like that. And Swerve, man. I love watching Swerve work. Swerve Strickland. I love watching that guy work. So yeah, I do AEW too.
Yeah, he's really come a long way, huh?
Yeah. I enjoy watching Swerve.
I think the best thing for him was leaving the WWE, even though at the time, obviously, I'm sure it was devastating for him, but I mean, look how far he's.
Look how it turned out for him, right?
Yeah.
So good for him.
So fast forward many years from now, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered?
I hope people just enjoyed watching me do what I did. You know what I mean? I hope I brought enjoyment to people, and that's all you can really ask for in the wrestling business, man. Did you bring enjoyment to people? They enjoy watching you. You know what I mean? So that's what I hope for.
Well, John, thank you so much for being here this week. Really appreciate you taking the time.
No worries, Joe. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, man. Big time. It's been a long time. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I'll see you at an event or, whatever it may be down the road. Would like to see you sooner rather than later, of course. So
most definitely, Joe.
For Pretty Boy Hernandez, I'm Joseph Bruen, and this has been the All Access Entertainment Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave your comments. We want to hear your feedback on this interview and future interviews you'd like to see. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.